are back on the record after a short break. It is now 10:29, and you can see the red dot. That means we're recording, and we're still in the direct examination of Ms. Novak. Go ahead, please, Mr. Cross.
Great. Okay. So when you had after you were given the pre-disciplinary notice, you were told that you were going to have a hearing, right?
Correct.
Okay. Did you prepare a statement in anticipation of that hearing?
Yes, I did.
Did you consult with anybody prior to making that statement or drafting that statement?
Yes, my representative, Gary Boughton.
Okay. And based on that consultation, you believed in part that you were going to be terminated, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you consult any, did you try to find out any information about your benefits prior to the pre-disciplinary meeting?
Yes, absolutely.
What did you find out?
I called central office, the HR department, to find out because I had to weigh whether I get terminated, would I lose anything after 30 years? And when I talked to them, I found out that I would lose so you accumulate sick leave over the 30 years, and then when you retire, the state matches that sick leave. And you use that for your health insurance after retirement. And I found out that I would lose that matching of that sick leave. I would lose anything I had in sabbatical.
And sorry, do you know about how much that sick leave is worth at that time?
Oh. Hundreds of $1,000s. I mean,
sorry, there was just the line broke up. Did you say $100,000 or something else?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Okay.
It's a very good benefit that we have. So I think when I don't know, I think when I had about 300,000, so at least, or 400,000, half of that would have been what I would have lost from the state match. And then sabbatical, anything I had in sabbatical, I would have lost. Any vacation. It was April. It was pretty much the beginning of the year. I would have lost, let's see, probably 7, 8 weeks of vacation holiday time.
About how much are we talking? And so this is if you had been terminated as opposed to resigned. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And that was the question that you put to them?
Yes.
Okay. And just to be clear, these are numbers that were specific to you?
The amounts were, but not the process on what you lose if you're terminated versus if you retire.
Right, fair enough. I appreciate that distinction. But so when you were asking the benefit, the HR, they were giving you numbers that were specific to you?
Yes.
Okay. And so again, what would have been the difference between resigning and getting terminated in terms of monetary value?
I would have lost, I'm trying to remember how much I had in sabbatical. That was probably about $30,000 worth. I would have lost a couple of $100,000 in the sick leave, and I would have lost, let's see, 7 weeks vacation at $50 an hour.
Okay.
I also, your pension, I would have been able to keep my pension, but your pension is based on your 3 high years of employment. I was right in the middle of my 3 high years. So whether I would have lost, I did lose about $800 a month because I wasn't in a position financially or emotionally to retire. I mean, that wasn't what I wanted to do.
Okay, no, I think I got that. That there was, it was your intention to continue, but is it fair to say that given those the monetary incentives were a potent force in your decision making.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm the insurance carrier for my family. I needed that sick leave. I needed to ensure that my children had insurance. Those were things I could risk after a 30-year career. I couldn't see those taken away from me.
Okay, and so then let's just be clear at the walking into that disciplinary hearing. Did you understand? I guess what was your understanding of what your status could be at the end of that hearing?
This is for anybody that goes to a pre-disciplinary hearing. Once that hearing has ended, the materials go, your statement goes back to the decision maker, and a decision could come down at any time. So on my way home, the following day, I could have got the call that you're terminated if I didn't choose to resign. A decision could be made then, it could be made a week later, 2 weeks later, you don't know. And the importance of this case and what it all led to, I believe that, you know, it's a gamble. Do you take a chance? So that could have came at any time. When I went in my statement, I had a paragraph about retiring. But when I got to the hearing, I read my statement. It was about 6 pages long. When I got to that final paragraph about retiring, okay, now I'm gonna get emotional, I'm sorry. When I got to that final paragraph, the same thing happened. When I had to say the words that I was gonna retire, I broke down. The investigators asked if I wanted a break. I said, no, I would like to continue. I couldn't read it. My representative said, let's take a break. They agreed, they left the room. I talked to my representative again about what I would lose, retirement versus termination.
And I also want to take you back to those statements by the article from Mr. Carr. Did that play a part in that decision making as well?
Yes, yes.
Okay, because he didn't say that he might terminate you, right?
And
No, he wouldn't
I know we have an
hesitate.
ongoing objection on this, but I just want to renew the objection.
So, but you didn't understand it to say that that's really the issue is whether or not you understood them, those statements and the gross negligent accusation to be related.
Yes, they did. You don't have a significant, I mean, I used to believe you'd have a significant event and you would look at all the facts. I mean, in this case, you say you wouldn't hesitate to fire. You have a huge, terrible escape. That's the biggest event at any institution. You have that, you get written up for serious acts of misconduct. You mean to tell me they were going to bring me back there after they made a statement publicly?
Now,
They
again,
explain that.
and you told them about your conversations with Doug Percy, right?
Told who?
You told the administration, the investigators, about your discussions with Doug Percy, right?
In regard to Holly
Holly
Zimdahl?
Zimdahl, before the escape. Thank
Judge,
you,
I
sir.
think you're muted.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I think the judge sounded like she was trying to say something.
Judge, you are muted.
All right, sorry, I'm confused. So I thought we were talking about the pre-disciplinary meeting, and now you're talking about statements to the investigators. Are you saying she made statements to the investigator during the pre-disciplinary meetings, or are we going back prior?
So yeah, no, I'm really just trying to get on your knowledge of I understand. This is my question. When you were walked out, between when you were walked out and the pre-disciplinary hearing, did you have any knowledge of whether Doug Percy was had been walked out as well?
He was not walked out. He was still there.
Okay, and he's the man, right?
Yes, he's my male supervisor.
Okay, and you, during the internal affairs investigation, you explained to them about your conversation with Doug Percy prior to the escape, right? About Holly Zimdahl.
I explained it on numerous interviews, and I also brought it up in my final statement, yes.
Okay, and that, but that formed a part of your, the charges of gross negligence against you, right?
Yes. Failure to put her out on leave, yes.
Okay, so that, having that knowledge in mind, at that time was also part of your decision-making process, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Part of my decision-making on the other fence issue was also the same.
Can you
I'm sorry,
explain that?
can you say that?
The fence issue was the same thing. Nobody else was being held accountable for a fence that was installed 14 years ago. No prior wardens, even though one is still working today, who was at Columbia, he wasn't investigated because I talked to him. Administration wasn't being investigated for a fence that the previous administration knew about.
Okay, so that, did that make you feel like you were being unfairly targeted?
Exactly, yes, it did.
Okay. And even unfairly targeted as opposed to the other male wardens?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the previous male, all the wardens before me were male, and like I said, one is still working. I mean, he could have fixed it on his watch. You know, can I just say that today that stun fence is on the opposite side where it was 3 years ago? And it may be in a process, but that fence has not been moved. It was so serious and such a gross misconduct on my part. That fence is still there 3 years later.
Okay, and so part of what I think I understood you to say was that with the knowledge that you couldn't have been, you weren't directly responsible for the condition of the fence, and that administration knew about the condition of the fence, to see that he listed as gross misconduct also formed part of your decision making?
I'm going to object to the portion of the administration knew of the fence.
Okay, I agree with that. Go ahead, just the question otherwise, please.
Well, you knew the administration knew about the fence, right?
Objection assumes facts not in evidence.
Yes, can you want to do the foundation?
Absolutely
Go
does
ahead.
not. We've gone over this security audit so many times. You know, sky is green, Judge. Sky is green.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember other people talking about this. I don't remember Ms. Novak talking about the knowledge that this administration had, and what you're telling me about what was in her mind. And I don't know what was in her mind because I don't know if that particular issue was in her mind. So go ahead.
So I only asked her if she knew whether or not the administration was aware of this, and then he said
That's
objection.
fine. No, you had a lot more in there. So if that's fine, answer that question, please.
Do you know if the administration was aware of the condition of the fence while you were warded?
I believe they should have been. They should know, and they're passing the baton from one administration to another. If an issue is that high up as a security risk, that should have been passed on. The security chief to security chief, that should have been passed on. The security chief is in charge of security at all the institutions. He's a male. I feel like the fence issue is known by so many people, but one person, myself, is being held accountable for that when I didn't have the authority, the money on how to fix it. And it's still not fixed, still not changed. It was installed that way on purpose. It's functioning that way today. It was functioning that way during the escape. It was working.
Meaning by being razor wire?
No, the stun fence that's installed on the wrong side was working. It shocked the inmates on their way down. It was doing what it was put there to do.
Okay, and that's the knowledge that you had before was that the stun fence was inoperable. Is that fair to say? But in fact, it was operable?
It was always operable.
Okay,
Yeah, I think again, we're confusing the two fence issues. The stun fence was working, it was operable, it's on the outside. That's how they wanted it installed 14 years ago. The inner fence that they actually climbed up to get over to the stun fence, the inner fence alarm was not working. That I did not know about until the day after the escape when maintenance told me about it.
okay. And so that's the same thing that Mr. Percy claimed, right? That he didn't know about the stun fence prior to the escape.
He said
Sorry,
that
the alarm issue on the razor wire fence.
on the inner fence, the alarm, to my knowledge, nobody knew about it except the maintenance department, and they didn't do anything with it. They didn't bring it to our attention the day before the escape. Which again, if you don't know that alarmed fence on the interior, when something touches it, it's supposed to send all these big alarms to control center. When a piece of paper gets stuck in there, when an animal's in there, it always sets off alarms to the control center. That was not working the day before. The maintenance supervisor came into me when they escaped and said, "You're not going to be happy about this, but I have to tell you that fence was down yesterday. The alarms were not working."
Okay. And did you hear testimony from Secretary Carr saying that he had heard that Doug Percy didn't know about the condition to that fence prior to the escape?
I believe so.
Okay. So when Miss Fesahai said that she was giving you support, you disagree with that statement, right?
I disagree, yes.
Okay. And when Mr. Percy says that he was giving you support, you disagree with that statement as well.
Yes.
Okay. And when the secretary says that the investigation into the escape was going to go wherever it led, do you believe that to be accurate based on your knowledge?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay. And why not?
Because from the secretary's office, they are directing those investigations. They are directing outcomes of investigations. They are telling the administrator, the assistant administrator, what to write in there.
Okay. And you knew that all of those facts prior to the decision to resign, right?
Yes, I've experienced it in other cases as the appointing authority.
Okay, so based on all of your experiences, the appointing authority, experience as an investigator, and through all your positions at the Department of Corrections, did you get the message that your employment was all but over?
Yes.
Okay, and you got that prior to going into the disciplinary hearing?
Yes.
Okay, did you get that when you got the leave letter?
Yes. Being placed out on leave led me to believe that. What was the final, I guess, the most severe piece of evidence that led me to believe I was going to be terminated is when I saw what the rule infractions were.
I'm sorry, and that was on the pre-disciplinary letter.
Yes.
Now, okay. Perfect. Okay. I'm ready to pass the witness. I would like 5 more minutes before Mr. Mullenbach starts.
Okay, taking, you have no problem with that, correct?
Judge, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Could you repeat what you just said?
I said there's no problem with us
Oh.
taking another break before you begin your cross,
Okay.
correct? Okay, so let's take another 10-minute break, start back at 11. And then we'll do your cross, and you were indicating how long for cross?
At this point, I'm guessing somewhere between an hour to an hour and a half.
All right. Then we'll break for lunch after that. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.